Good evening and welcome to the track Too Tough to Tame, Darlington, South Carolina, where we'll bring to you coverage of the SAAC Cup Series Eliminator playoffs here from South Carolina. This is the first race of the Season 4 SAAC Cup Series playoff action, and it is intense. We have a lot of storylines to talk about tonight. I'm Francisco Bacallahu. Joining alongside me is Nate Polite. Kenneth Bueno will not be with us here tonight, Nate, but that does not mean we're going to be in store for some great racing here from the track Too Tough to Tame. Always provides some excellent racing, and it's always quick to bite someone out for a mistake.
Oh, it's too tough to tame for a reason. This abrasive surface is going to eat at your tires. There is a fuel window here, but I'll tell you right now, it's not going to matter. 60 laps, you cannot even dream of going that far on a set of tires at this race. It's going to be who can manage their tires best, who can stay disciplined the longest, especially if we go green, which not always had the best luck at that. We're in for a phenomenal one here tonight, Francisco.
It's going to be awesome here to enjoy watching the race that we have here to put on a show for all of our viewers, and that our drivers are hopefully able to, at that, put on a great show for themselves and help themselves towards the playoffs. So I'm still fresh on trying to understand this playoff format, Nate, but you have a better understanding of it than me, so why not explain to the viewers what it is exactly that these playoffs will be formatting over these next couple of weeks?
Absolutely. The Eliminator Chase in the SAC Cup Series is not like any chase format, playoff format, full season points format you've probably ever seen. 16 drivers have made it to the Eliminator Chase after a long, winding regular season. They're going to do battle in round one after these first three races. Darlington, New Hampshire, and Road America. The bottom four are going to be eliminated, but how do we decide who those bottom four are? I'm glad you asked. First and foremost, there's some bonus points awarded to every single driver in the Eliminator Chase following the conclusion of the regular season. Those points are your starting point. After that, there will be full points awarded for each of a driver's two best races, most points scored in this first round. Their worst races scored at 75% of points scored, so they knock off points for the worse you do. That will continue throughout the chase. That one worst race is always going to be scored at 75%. And the points don't reset when we get to round two, which is important because round two is just one race at Bristol, after which the bottom three are eliminated. At that point, a driver will earn double points for their best race. That's important. The winner here tonight, once we get to round two, assuming they do get to round two, because it's not winning you're in, that win is going to be worth double the remainder of the Eliminator Chase once they get to Bristol. At that point, full points awarded for the second and third best races. The worst race still scored at 75%. Then round three, again, Chicagoland one race. Bottom three are eliminated after that point, giving us our final six. After Chicagoland, it will be double points for the two best races. Full points awarded for the third and fourth best races. That's, again, most points scored. And the worst race will be scored at just 75%. Again, that stays constant throughout the entire round. So when you get to the final six, every driver has their points from the entire playoff run. They've not reset. That's the starting point. At Auto Club Speedway, it's 3 times points for that race and that race alone to decide the championship when added to the round 3 totals. These points, it's important, are only for the chase contenders. Once you're eliminated, it will reset back to the regular season points. That's the crash course on the Eliminator Chase format in the SAC Cup Series.
that's a mouthful and a half to go through. Yeah, I have trouble just remembering it off the top of my head, but I'm sure that we're all going to be kept in track of that thanks to the likes of Cody Rivera. Very quickly, before we go to the grid, let's quickly review our racetrack here that we have for tonight. Darlington Raceway, located just outside of Florence, South Carolina, in the Darlington County. And this track opened all the way back in 1950. It used to be inverted. The front straightaway nowadays used to be the back stretch, but that flip-flopped, and now you have varying banking on each end of the racetrack, and this track is so different. You see the egg shape that it's very famous for to conserve the pond down towards the end of turns 3 and 4. You see it just off the top right over there, and that's what gave this racetrack its famous shape way back when. The first asphalt super speedway in the history of NASCAR, and it's done a great job maintaining its modern availability, and luckily for us, Nate, still to this day, it provides some great racing. And there on your screen, you see drivers already lining up on the grid, and it'll allow us to go through the starting grid for tonight's showdown in the playoff opener. We're on the pole. It is going to be the number 72 of Gabriel Tahari. He'll be rolling off from the top spot of the grid with a 28.823, and rolling off to the outside of him is going to be Ethan Fonseca Moreno. So he'll be on the front row with the number 72. Third place will go to Austin Doran, the number 52, with James Thurston in his number 82 machine alongside him. Nicholas Bauman is able to go off from the 5th place spot with Justin Roughton, number 76, alongside of him. 7th goes to the number 30 of Larry Miles, with Stephen Maggio, defending champion, looking to retake the crown here in season number 4. And rounding out your top 10 starters, the married man, Michael Walls, is back here with Cody Rivera's league owner, rounding out your top 10, Nate.
On the row 6, it's the 9 of Connor Trafari, one of our leading title contenders, next to Luke Mahone. Behind him, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer in 13th, and Andretti Robinson. Then Gabe Cazzola and James Bomar, followed by Wyatt Roberts and Nicholas Budimalik. Rounding out the top 20, Donovan David and Fidel Fabian.
21st will go to the 12 of Christopher Robinson, with Alexander Schumacher, who's been on a hot streak. He'll be rolling off from the 22nd spot. Connor Zola in the 13 will be from 23rd, with Duncan Fall alongside him in the 24th spot. 25th will go to Devin Frank in the number 56, with Ali Reeves in the number 31. He'll be rolling off from 26th. Seth Hood, Shockey Tarpley, we're going to be our 14th row of the grid with Jason Rashcock, Aiden Axler, which is not actually an actual name. That is part of the throwback environment. That is, of course, Brian Sawicki. He'll be in that spot. AJ Hyder, Amir Bascom in the next row with Quincy Strawhacker, Juan Escamilla, Declan George, Ryan Jones, and that will round out our 36 car field here from the Darlington Raceway. I have to give a moment here as I have some audio issues on my end, trying to get that sorted out before the green flag. Don't want to have any issues later on. I probably should have done that earlier, so I will apologize that in advance. But nonetheless, sorted out in time for the green flag.
Green flag.
And there it is. We are underway from Darlington. Already at the back, you see multiple cars spinning. A big crash off of turn 2, but it doesn't look like we're under yellow. Everybody hang on to it.
Remarkable to see everybody hang on to their race cars. It's especially at Darlington, not see everyone kind of pile into one another. Always something really, really concerning at a track this thin. But it's Gabriel Tahari who steps out in front on the restart from the pole. He's going to look to drive away from Ethan Fonseca Moreno as quick as he can, and the top 5 have made themselves separate from the rest of the field.
What's going to be dangerous here tonight is going to be the aero packing situation, because of the fact that it's easy to aero pack after these updates, Nate, and at Darlington, where everybody either spreads out or runs nose to tail, you kind of have no choice but to get aero packed in certain situations, and that could spell trouble, and that is most likely what resulted in those issues on lap 1. Here's a battle just outside the top 10, numerous cars nose to tail. There's Connor Trafari, playoff driver. He's in the midst of this mess in the 14th spot after being involved. This hard hit to the outside wall. It looks like that was the 31 of Ali Reeves, actually the 60 of Budimlik as he hangs onto it on the inside, but a huge slap to the outside wall, and we'll see that all night long. Shade for the Darlington striker.
Absolutely. It's too tough to tame for a reason here at Darlington Raceway. Now let's take a look at all these beautiful throwback race cars on this track right now. The entire field really taking this throwback theme to heart, and it's always great to see the creativity in drivers and paint scheme designers take to the racetrack.
And there you see Schumacher as Budimlik will go all the way to the apron. Might be pulling over from this one based on that kind of maneuver. Bring it into the pit lane. We're at the front of the field. It's still Gabriel Tahari, Ethan Fonseca Moreno. That's about half a second there for that spot. So most of the field already single file, and that's not a surprise here, Nate. This track, one of the narrowest on the entirety of the schedule. You don't want to go side by side here if you can avoid it. And well, let's just be honest about one thing. You don't want to go side by side here if you can avoid it.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it yourself, it's narrow, but what makes it feel even more narrow is how quickly the tires wear and really the line you have to take. You saw it as we went on board with Ethan Fonseca Moreno. You don't take the bottom or take the top at Darlington most of the time. we'll watch here in turn 3. It's a little bit less exaggerated, but there to the bottom, and he drifts up a couple of lanes, and then you see him come back down to the bottom on exit. But it's more noticeable in turn 1 that you're kind of diamonding these corners. That's the most optimal way to get around this track. It's not a choice to pick up speed. If you're running side by side, you have to pick the top or bottom. But you see that Dahari, he entered right on that dashed white line, came up to the wall, and here he is right back to the line on corner exit. That's the line you want to take. It uses the entire racing surface, so it makes the track that much more narrow if you're trying to carry so much speed.
Here's a look at a couple of Dave Gravedigger throwbacks together on the racetrack. It's Justin Rott in 76 with the 45 of Andretti Robinson just inside the top 10. Those two are, and this is some of the Gravedigger throwbacks that I saw you write down in your sheet for me to help me out with tonight's show. And 2 different throwbacks. I can't say I remember ever seeing this red version, but I do for sure remember the one on the left side. I mean, how could you not forget about that one?
I mean, even for a guy who wasn't a huge Monster Jam kid, everyone knows about that black and neon green Gravedigger. But this from the reference image that Andretti Robinson sent in our Discord, looks like the original Gravediggers. He's making a move on the younger version, diving it all the way to the inside in turn 1. Justin Rott lets him have the position as they sit right behind another very intriguing throwback. That's Luke Mahone with a throwback to one of the GTA 5 stock cars. That one got a good chuckle out of me when they were introducing the throwbacks earlier.
And I do gotta say, I remember the silver and blue Gravedigger, from before. It looks like contact. Cody Rivera
there
into
it
the
is,
outside
the
wall.
Makes the silver and blue Gravedigger you were talking about.
Unfortunately for him, it's some big contact there as he was racing for position, and that right front might have some suspension damage to it as he tries to recuperate in front of Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, who'll give him the tap. Looks like Mahone had an issue further up ahead as well, as they're all starting to stack up here for multiple positions. And there he goes, Andretti Robinson getting past the 34 of Luke Mahone. Michael Walls will look to try and take advantage of this one in his LSU machine. And how about Michael Walls? Congratulations on the wedding. I'm sure he had a great time these past couple of days, and he's probably very excited to get back on the sim.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Walls. I've had the good fortune of actually getting to meet both of them in real life. I'm super happy for both of those two. Absolutely deserve it. Nice to see Mike is back in the saddle after a nice little break.
Back in control, back where it feels nice and comfortable. As look behind him, that move to the outside by Justin Rott, trying to get to the outside of the numbers 15 of James Bomar. How about that throwback for Bomar, throwing back to Kellogg's? Pretty sure that might be a Mark Martin throwback, and I could be wrong about that, but still a fabulous paint scheme nonetheless. There's so many to talk about.
An absolute classic. That was Carl Edwards' 2013 Bristol. This is based on, if I recall correctly, but a bunch of cars under a blanket. And now here's Bomar making a move on Mahone down the inside of turn number 1. We'll see how much of a fight Mahone puts up. Not too much. Bomar slides up. That's a perfect textbook pass here at Darlington Raceway. It's not a whole huge slide job. It's no Kyle Larson Chicagoland, but that is the slide job you have to throw at Darlington. Here's another opportunity to look at one. Connor Trafari can't quite get clear of Mahone. He's got to check up out of the throttle. But Mahone lets him have the spot at the center of the corner. That 34 is starting to struggle here as the run gets long.
He is starting to struggle and losing spots quickly as he's now holding the final spot inside the top 10. And that's how you make passes at Darlington. You have to get the runs off the corners, get side by side with the car on the outside, and somebody has to give way at some point because you can't go side by side, especially through 1 and 2, and expect it to go clean. It usually doesn't end too well. Just ask Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr. the outcome of that one. If those that remembers, look at that was I believe the 45 actually got sideways. That'll give way to Michael Walzer for 6th. Off of turn 4 could get very treacherous. So you just got to make sure you stay on your toes at any point. Darlington can reach out and absolutely take you for a crime. It is the track too tough to tame, the Lady in Black, the Darlington Stripe, all those names, mate, they are here, they exist for a reason. Probably the most difficult track to draw.
Absolutely, especially as far as the ovals are concerned. And you saw there Luke Mahone did a similar thing. As you start to run out of racetrack on the exit of turn 4, it becomes really easy to overcorrect, go down the track. It's like that's Alexander Schumacher. making a move on Donovan David. He looked for it for a second, now fall back in line. But as you run out of racetrack on these corner exits, it's really easy to overreact and snap the car to the left, and the car could even get loose and just step out on you. As we're now looking at some more issues further back, that's the 44. He got a lot of the wall on to slow down the back straightaway. We'll see if that's just a momentum thing.
He slammed the outside wall in the back straightaway, and he's lucky that it didn't give him any more suspension damage, but you could tell he's off the pace and letting cars go now, so he probably does have some kind of damage after that hit. It was a huge hit, but I was noticing the throwback on Mr. Gabe Cazzola, and how about that? I mean, I'm a Kyle Busch fan, he's a Kyle Busch fan, and that's a car that won the championship right there, so it's always going to have a special place in my heart, and I know Gabe likes it as well, as he's racing with the 67, and you're making some contact. Him and Quincy Strawhacker. So end up to the outside wall, but Cazzola, Kyle Busch fan, always loves this paint scheme, always has a Kyle Busch paint scheme to run for Throwback Weekend.
Absolutely, it's one of my personal favorite schemes of all time. That green, it just pops so amazingly. And I'm not sure if this is the same one, but I do know at the time I had made a version of this car for him to run. I don't know if it's the same one, but I certainly hope that he didn't replace Crispy M&M's Next Gen that I painted for him.
Hopefully not, but back to the front. Gabriel Dehari now holds a 4/10 of a second lead. It had grown to about 6 or 7, but Moreno slowly but surely closed the gap up a little bit, and trying to see if they can pull away what has been an opening 19 laps under the green flag after that big stack up off of turn 2 on the initial start of the race. But it has ever since has seen a lot of green flag action out of the 120th schedule that we have here for tonight. You mentioned the fuel window. It probably won't be necessary, but if we continue under the green flag, it can matter, Nate, because it is around the 60 to 63 lap range, and I don't know about you, but I don't need a calculator to tell me that's almost on the money for a one-stop race. And I'll ask this to you. If we do see a sign of a potential flag-to-flag race, do you try to make it on one stop, or does someone go aggressively trying to use tires to their advantage and go for 2 stops somewhere, I'd say around lap 40 or lap 45 and 90?
I think at most tracks I would try to stretch the fuel, but at Darlington, under no circumstances am I going to try to stretch the fuel when there will be guys on a 2-stop at separate moments coming at me with 20 lap fresher tires. I do not want to have that happen to me whatsoever. Actually, I guess they'd be 40 lap fresher tires when they come off when they come out of the pit lane the first time. Those hypothetical 2-stoppers. Here we are on board with Nicholas Baumann, one of many Dale Earnhardt Jr. throwbacks in the field today. Of course, the most popular driver for his entire career. Got a lot of fans in the field, and gonna have a lot of throwbacks to him.
Yeah, Dale Jr., one of the most popular names in all of the NASCAR history, him and his dad. And he's trying to channel some Jaden Porter, in that Jaden Porter ran a paint scheme, probably this very one, if I recall correctly, maybe a slightly different version. But he took these colors to victory lane here at Darlington in the Season 7 race of 4 wide in dominating fashion in that one. So he might try to channel some of that Jaden Porter in him tonight to try and take that win, as numerous drivers for multiple laps on end now have been slamming the outside wall, the most recent of which is this number 52 of Austin Doran running a different Dive Mountain Dew paint scheme. I'm not sure who's this a throwback to exactly, but I'm sure it's a lot older, as look at him getting sideways off the corner. James Thurston trying to mount the pressure on him for that position.
As Thurston mounts the pressure on the back of Austin Doran. That is a Dale Jr. throwback. It was a special one-off paint scheme, a special theme that they ran.
Oh, the 55 in trouble.
Fidel Fabian spinning down the back straightaway. He had gone a lap down. He has locked it down.
And no caution as he tries to back it up and get it going in the right direction. It was just in front of the leaders where he lost it. But I think luckily for everyone, the Enterprise Toyota does not bring out a caution flag. He'll try to rejoin as the track gets bumpy there. You get a little bit scared, hoping he doesn't spin it out in front of some of these other cars and cause a big issue, but Fidel will safely re-enter the surface and not cause an issue. Moreno now losing time to your leader. Was closing in, now he's losing time. It's kind of yo-yoing the last couple of laps between those spots, but right now the battle to look for is going to be the battle for third, just behind James Thurston with Austin Doran and Nicholas Baumann. Those 3 cars trying to battle for some really good position in this opening run.
Yeah, they're all the two junior throwbacks are all over each other, and Lewis Thurston has already gone and moved past the 52 of Duran, so he is starting to fade, and it's, again, we're on lap 26. This is when the tire management starts to come into play, and Michael Walls is creeping into the picture ever so slightly. And those two Dale Jr. cars, the Mountain Dew cars, or I guess that's an AMP car for Bauman. And Bauman's putting the pressure on Duran. They're both catching a little bit of the wall. They gotta look in their mirror because that 24 is getting real big.
It is getting bigger, but I will tell you this, Nate, if you scrape the outside wall in the center of turns 1 and 2, I actually don't think it slows you down. If anything, it actually helps you rotate the car, as look at how Bauman was able to get to the outside on corner exit of the 52. He'll have the position over Doran, and Doran will concede it. And there goes Bauman taking over that spot. What a move from Bauman.
A phenomenal move from Bauman, and it goes back what I was saying earlier. When you're running by yourself, you got to kind of cross over the dashed line there to pretty much use all the racetrack available to you. But if you need to go past somebody, you get up on the fence and you rim ride around the place. We look at Steven Maggio. What a fabulous throwback that is.
Nice pun there with the fabulous Hudson Hornet. It wasn't looking so fabulous on lap 1. You see the damage on his car. He was one of those cars to get sideways, and very fitting because of his number to throw back to the fabulous Hudson Hornet, the famous number 51, of course, made famous by his talent, but also in pop culture in the Cars saga as Doc Hudson. And there you see him dedicating it not just to the actual fabulous Hudson Hornet in real life, but also Doc Hudson in the Pixar series of Cars, as he's battling right now with the 48 of AJ Hyder, who's also not had an ideal first run. And this has not been probably the opening run we expected out of the 51 of Maggio. He's the defending champion of the series, has not gone back to victory lane yet. And it's just been a string of bad luck. And tonight at Darlington could have been one of those opportunities for a turnaround, and it still can. But early on, it just doesn't appear like it's going his way.
It's been well documented this season for Steven Maggio. The struggles that he's had as the defending champion, opportunities to win races. He started on pole at Phoenix, which is perhaps one of his best racetracks, and he spun out on the exit of turn 2 to start the race. Came back to finish that race third, but there's been a lot of ones that have gotten away from Steven Maggio. They talk about the one that got away. We're talking about the 6 or 7 that have gotten away from Steven Maggio this season. It's been a good year. I mean, it's hard to say that the guy who comes into the Eliminator chase 4th is having a bad year, but it's really looked for Steven Maggio like he could have been first coming into the Eliminator chase if he had just a few more things go his way. As that 52 of Duran is continuing to fall. He's now in the clutches of James Bomar. He's gotten passed by Connor Trafari. I'm willing to bet the tires on that one are chewed up by the lady in black.
They absolutely are. And Andretti Robinson had a moment off of turn 2 laps ago while we were on board with Maggio, and he fell all the way back to now 12th spot as 48 of Hyder will go by. Jurgensmeyer will try to join this battle as Maggio now creeps up behind the 45. All sorts of battles going on inside the top 10. Trafari has crept his way up to 6 after a patient opening set of laps. Nicholas Bauman and Michael Walsh could be battling here soon. The front of the field continues to be the same, but I will say that Tahari and Moreno have pulled away to a tune of nearly 4 seconds ahead of this man right here, James Thurston, who's now got a healthy lead over Nicholas Bauman. But you look out in front of the windshield and it is absolutely empty for the 82. Look how far they are with lap traffic ahead of leaders.
Yeah, the 72 and 92 have checked out from the 82 as they're looking to put Alexander Schumacher a lap down, and that's one of the side effects of this racetrack being as difficult to drive as it is. The ceiling, the gap from the ceiling to the floor for these drivers is just absolutely massive. And we're starting to see that gap close a little bit between the leader and second place as we're now taking lap 35 or 5 laps away from that lap 40 mark, where I think a lot of guys are going to start to think about pitting. We might be 10 or so laps away from green flag stops.
And we might see guys maybe shy away from that 2-tire strategy, Nate, purely because of the fact that the caution comes out as Schumacher tries to let the leader go.
Yeah, Schumacher was trying to let him go, and Tahari got the wall. New leader is the 92.
He was trying to let the leaders go after tagging the outside wall. Dahari thought he would stay up there, and that miscommunication results in the first lead change of the night with the 92 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno go by. And we just had talked about it about a lap or two before. Lap traffic can play a huge role, as there's Fidel Fabian who went for a spin a couple laps ago. Not only do we have a swap for the lead, but look at Dahari. He might be trying to take it back as Fabian was there in the middle of the corner. He lets them go side by side for the top spot.
Dahari down right on that dash line. He feels like he probably got wronged a little bit. They put up to another lap car. That's Cody Riveras. Dahari's going to try to use him as a pick. He's got the position on the 92 for now. And it is a successful pass. The 36 gets out of the way, and Dahari, after a quick scare, gets the spot back. I think Dahari's got the fastest car here tonight.
Yeah, he certainly does. He's looked very quick so far, and that's all it could take really with these new next gens as well, is that he makes that mistake with behind Schumacher. Moreno takes the lead, and if the caution were to come out in that instance, then Moreno has the top spot for the next restart if they're able to maintain off a pit road, and that could be a whole different ball game for both of these drivers, because that clean air is so important now compared to what it was even before the updates.
Yeah, it's so crucial, and it's always crucial to an extent, but it's no secret that the next-gen car and the recent update to iRacing has made it even more crucial to reflect how it is in real life. And Darlington is one of these tracks where in the NASCAR Cup Series, we've seen it come into play time and time again. William Byron this spring dominated the Goodyear 400, and the moment that he lost the top spot, he had no chance of getting back by the leader. So they're absolutely wanting to get that back. It's why Dahari was so... It was so important for Dahari to go fight right back and be so aggressive to get the spot from Ethan Fonseca Moreno. He's got it successfully. He's got the faster car. He's pulled back away from the 92. But it could have been a disaster for Gabriel Dahari. Really not of his own doing.
Could have been a lot worse, but I think the damage is done, and that Moreno's now a lot closer than what he was before the incident ever started. And behind this is the 99 of Juan Escamilla, who currently is the first car one lap down in this race. Or excuse me, now he's actually 5 laps down in this race, so he had some trouble earlier. But he is a teammate of these two, so he won't sit there and try to overtake them for the spot, trying to implicate something here on the strategy front. He'll let them kind of settle this one out on their own right. And this could get really interesting really quickly here in the next couple laps. If someone decides the two-stop strategy is the way to go, for someone it could be the 52 of Austin Doran, who's completely struggled in this opening run and has fallen all the way back to the 15th spot, running what is nearly, I would say, about 4/10 to 3/10 of a second slower than most of the entirety of the field. On that last lap in particular, almost a second slower than the nearest cars around him. He's lost half a racetrack lap to the leaders. It would probably be a good idea for this 52 to jump ship to that strategy, because clearly a short run pace was there, but not the long run.
Absolutely, and with green flag pit stops potentially being right around the corner in the next couple of laps.
There's
a 52, he's gonna go for a spin!
Goes around and he saves it, but the caution flag will wave as trouble for the 52. We saw it live in front of us. Austin Doran with a self-spin off of turn 4 after struggling with those tires will bring us under the first caution flag of the night. And fortunately for us, Nate, it could be a relatively quick look at it, because it looked pretty clear that he just kind of lost it on his own. We'll get that to you on the screens here, as the 52 was going through 3 and 4, was drifting up on the older tires. The grip had been gone, and sure enough, right here on exit, gets the outside wall, and around she goes.
Yeah, it's one of those ones you start leaning towards the inside wall. You're like, I need to get back onto the racing surface. But when you don't have that much grip, it's really easy to spin the rear tires and loop it back to the right side. And I was saying, just as that spin rudely interrupted me, this saves the drivers from green flag pit stops. Is take a look at pit road entry here. See how much space there is and how far it is from the racing surface to get down there? It's the toughest pit road entry in NASCAR. It's caused numerous wrecks in the Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and Truck Series. In the real world, it's caused numerous wrecks in iRacing. They avoided it that time, so we'll see if the next time pit stops come around that if it causes any havoc. And I will also say, forces pretty much everybody into the two-stop strategy that we were talking about for this race.
Yeah, though, after these set of pit stops, there'll be one more guaranteed stop for the entirety of the field as you see the leaders pull into their stalls. No major mistakes there. And you could see a variance of when they pit as well, because the fuel window is as far as lap 60. You might not go all the way, but you certainly might see some drivers try to pit on the front side. So there's definitely a range of different things. As look at Moreno have a better stop, and it looks like it's a penalty for the 72 of Gabriel Tahari. Not sure if that's going to be speeding on entry or something of the sorts, but nonetheless, a speeding penalty for the 72. And that's going to cost them all the track position. And what did I tell you before the pit stops is that all it could take is a mistake to give the 92 the race lead, the clean air, and that could absolutely change everything. Now Tahari lost all his track position.
And that's Gabriel Tahari. He won the last regular season race at Homestead Miami Speedway, so he was looking for a back-to-back win. I still think he's got the fastest car on the racetrack, but man, that's a lot of traffic to get through. We just finished talking about how big of an issue dirty air is. I think he got passed by just about everybody on the lead lap on pit road. Coming down here is Ollie Reeves and the Ryan Newman throwback.
Ollie Reeves did not pit with the main field under this caution. He stayed out to take the lead, but he pits here on 1 to green to take service, which what that does now is put Ethan Fonseca Moreno in the race lead proper, with the 82 of James Thurston, Nicholas Bauman, Michael Walls, as that's actually Alexander Schumacher, currently lined up 4th in line, but he's not 4th on the racetrack. Currently the 68 is 27th and the first car 1 lap down. So very interesting how iRacing has him lined up 4th here, but I mean, if I'm Shu, I'm not really complaining. That's really going to help his case for Lucky Dog status, considering that's where he is as he's trying to get out of line actually and go around. So we might actually get the caution extended perhaps. I don't see the lights back on, but Shuey goes around the pace car. Actually, there he goes, letting it by now. So a lot of chaos going on here just before the green. The pace car will pull off, though, so there will be a restart here. Getting ready to go for the green light, the first restart of the night. Here on lap number 45, coming to 46.
Green flag.
And there it is. We are underway. A not-so-good restart for the 82 of James Thurston. He'll struggle getting up to speed. Nicholas Bauman will move up into 2nd, but the BBR drivers will make it 1 and 2.
And I don't know if it was a bad restart from Thurston or if he just got caught out by Ethan Fonseca Moreno. He really checked him up at the restart box, kind of played games, fooled the 82, but he's right back past the 81 of Bauman with really no issue going to the turn number 3 there. I also want to point out Ollie Reeves staying out to lead that lap is important, because if you lead 1 lap in the race, that's plus 5 points. So people already playing the points game here in race 1 of the Eliminator Chase.
And Jafari with the slide job in turn 1 in front of Bauman to take over the podium spot. By the 9 to take over the podium spot. The 81 had a great initial launch, but has struggled on the lap since the restart. His strength clearly on that opening run of the race was the handful of laps after the start, where he was able to slowly start picking off drivers and get up into the top 5. So he'll try to hope that we settle out here soon. As you see a battle further back, that looks like it's Quincy Strawhacker going past 76 Justin Rupp for a spot inside the top 10. It's the Gravedigger machine stays machine, as most of the field already has once again gotten relatively single filed out. And a big move here on this restart is the 51 of Steven Madgers. Repaired the car a little bit and has quickly worked his way up into the top 10.
Yeah, he was already starting to make a little bit more pace late in that first run before the caution, even with the damage, so no surprise, get a little bit of damage fixed up. Car's nice and clean. He's going to be moving as fast as he possibly can, try to get that fabulous Hudson Hornet back to the front of the field. But Connor Trafari, I want to talk about him for a second. He was a guy, he qualified 11th in this race, and he's moved up now into the top 3, and he was coming into Miami, was looking for a 3rd consecutive win, and he almost got it. He ended up winning the Mid-Season Madness tournament, so he got himself a bunch of money from that. So he's been on a pretty dang good hot streak, as we're now looking at James Bomar working on Michael Walls.
Battle here. This is for the spot inside the top 5. The LSU machine will stick down low and hang on from the attacks of James Bomar. You see the single file cars forming up behind as the field is once again organized and proper as we're trying to see if we can get an additional green flag run in this race, much like that opening stint that saw us go over 40 laps on these sets of tires. And you saw the difference there on that last run of just when people were saving the tires versus those that went all out, and it can really hurt you if you abuse the tires way too early.
It can hurt you really, really bad. We saw that with the 52 of Austin Duran as he fell super far back through the field on that first run, and he's now having to pay the consequences of that. He's got his car, nice and fast after the spin and all and whatnot. He got new tires and he's got whatever damage he had repaired, but he's now got to work his way through traffic, which is certainly much easier said than done. That's a lot of cars that he's got to work through in front of him as they weave down the backstretch further back.
Cody Riveros once again strike the outside wall, gets more big damage to his Legacy Grave Digger machine. Not been a fun night for the league owner. Cody Riveros sits currently 28th and a lap down. And he sits behind Alexander Schumacher after that incident to lose the free pass spot. So for Shuey, he is hoping the caution flag can come out and that Jeff Gordon machine can get back to pit road. And this is not just a Jeff Gordon throwback, Nate. This is a specific Jeff Gordon throwback. It is a throwback to the 2014 Texas Fall Race, famously known for when the fight happened between Jeff Gordon, Keselowski, and Kevin Harvick. That's what this throwback is to.
Well, hopefully he doesn't leave a gap open to his left 3 wide middle on a restart late in this race.
Yes, that's a great reference, and I agree. There's a wreck in front. Looks like the 71 of Jason Rashcock had an issue, but we remain under the green flag, and you see the big damage to the front of his car.
And he's really slow. I don't think this is just momentum. That's always something you worry about, but he's not getting much gas back into it. This happened right in front of where we were on board, or not on board, but I guess following the 68 of Schumacher. And we're going to take another look at this. He's battling with Andretti Robinson. And that's why it's so difficult to run too wide here at Darlington Raceway. There's not a lot of space to fit 2 cars, and that's 2 guys trying to run as close to the preferred line as possible without running each other over, and it's tough to do that without running each other over. They both get into each other. Lots of spinning, and now, speaking of running out of room, we're 3 wide coming out of turn number 4. Justin Rott backs out of it, moves to the bottom, and there's contact! Fogg gets hit by Sawinski.
And they save it once again, but that's going to really hurt Paul's race car. As you see the damage to his car as he rides up the outside wall. Definitely some big suspension damage there. You saw it live on the screen that they were 3 wide. Unfortunately for Paul, as he stays up towards the outside wall, that's probably going to be some contending damage out of the 61. You see, he finally finds a gap to get down on the racetrack, and he's going to spin.
Oh, and he's not going to go all the way around, and he loops it back the other way. That could potentially put us under the caution. We'll see if they throw it. They do not. We're still green. Out front, Ethan Fonseca Moreno from James Thurston and Connor Trafari not built up a very large gap the way that he and Gabriel Dehari had done at the start of this race. So perhaps that means Thurston has found something, or maybe Moreno says, hey, my biggest rival in this race is way far back. I know I can go maybe 80% and hang on to the rest of these guys out front. I don't got to push it so hard.
Perhaps. But one thing's for sure is that Dehari nearly got caught up in that mess with Jason Rashcock as he was riding right behind it. That was right on his lap. But fortunately for the driver, the number 72 B-Movie Racing, as the caution flag will wave, trouble further behind. Trying to identify where this possible cause of caution is from, but timing and scoring does not really indicate as if anybody had spun. Duncan Fall was on pit road, possibly trouble with Declan George, but nothing right now indicates otherwise. We'll attempt to find where this occurred.
Yeah, but we saw a couple of incidents there where guys just run out of racetrack. It happened with the 71 and the 45 when they got together. They were both trying to get as close to that preferred line as possible, and they end up running into each other at the middle of turns 1 and 2. And then right after that, we cut to a 3-wide battle on the exit of turn 4. Justin Rott decides, yeah, I'm going to back out. This doesn't look good. And sure enough, he ends up dodging a wreck that involved Duncan Faw as well as Brad Sawinski. It looks like we finally found what happened here. This is Declan George in the Dukes of Hazzard throwback. And let's take a look at what happens. He's up against the wounded 71 of Jason Rajcock. as they roll off to turn number 1
Oh.
and just annihilated right in the left, or in the left rear.
It looks
You
like
know, that's 71 that had some significant damage. It's tough to get to the bottom of the corner. Everyone's down pit road.
everyone's on pit road again. Tires mean a lot here at Darlington. But I do think it just looked like he tagged the wall and then got himself sideways, and that is what resulted in the contact with Rashcock. You see the 81 had to back up a little bit, and that's why he spun around. Doesn't look like the 71 necessarily did anything. Two-tire call here for Moreno and Thurston. These guys did run what was about 10 laps or so, 10 to 15, no more, on that stint. So it makes sense for you to see them get 2 tires, and Moreno, speeding on exit, is going to get another penalty.
And that's the 2 most dominant cars of the opening run in this race now have lost time, lost position because of a penalty on pit road. A disaster for the 92 and the 72. And especially for Ethan Fonseca Moreno. He comes into the Eliminator chase far and away the points leader, but the second half of this season has not been extremely kind to him. It was 6th place at Homestead Miami Speedway. Phoenix was an absolute trial. He said that he really felt that he deserved to win that race. He ended up 14th after a dominant run. Talladega is not nice to anybody, so it's been an unusual amount of time for Ethan Fonseca Moreno. His most recent win was at Texas, and that was pretty long ago.
It was a while back now, as it was a lot earlier in the season as they choose now. And how about Steven Maggio, Nate, who struggled in the opening run of this race, and how quickly things can turn around for you. The 51 machine is basically brand new. You've seen almost no damage to the right side of his Hudson Hornet machine. He was second at the choose, lines up inside row number 2. And what a turnaround it is for the Cairo, New York native.
One might say it's a fabulous turnaround for the 51, and he is really trying to chase away those demons that have haunted him all season. And things are starting to the luck's really starting to turn up his way. I know he's got to be sitting in the sim rig thinking, man, it's too good to be true. As we're about halfway home from Darlington, we'll see if that 51's luck can keep up just enough.
Maybe we'll just have to see, as this will be our second restart of the night following the pit road penalties of Gabriel Tahari and Ethan Fonseca Moreno into the Echo Park restart zone. And that's a great launch for your race leader with Connor Trafari in tow. There you see the effort from Steven Maggio to try to hang on to the second place spot. They'll be door to door through 1 and 2. This will be very tricky here down towards turn number 2. Maggio has to be careful being on the inside, gives space to Trafari, and that should see Trafari possibly going up to second. There's Michael Walls quickly inserting himself up into this battle. If Maggio's not careful, the 24 machine could get around him too, as there goes James Bomar now joining the fight too.
Plenty of cars under a blanket here. What more could you want? Steven Maggio falls in line in third. He expertly negotiated the inside line for that entire lap with Connor Trafari. He'll happily fall into third place, say, hey, things are going pretty nice for me. No reason to throw it away. You can't win it on lap 63, but you sure can lose it. Everyone else single files out really, really quickly, as we're going to start to see who our big movers are.
As there's the 4 of Donovan David, who makes a top 10 appearance for the first time tonight in his number 4 machine. As you see Michael Walls up front making some contact with James Bomar off of turn 4. That's the battle for the 4th spot. These two have been racing each other all night long. Bomar will go to the flat. Walls tags the outside wall. Is going to still hit the outside wall. He saves it. He hits the wall. And now he's going to lose all that track position.
And a lot of contact for that right side. He got about 3 Darlington stripes in one corner, and now he's getting run up on from behind as well, the inside. That's Wyatt Roberts that pulls up behind him, and that's Nicholas Bauman to his inside.
And that could have been a lot worse for Walls than what it was. He could have made some bigger contact, like the shades of Cody Riveras, among others, and really hamper his race car. I think maybe has some slight damage, but nothing that's going to take him out. As look at the hard contact with the 31 off of the corner. I think a car is spinning, and indeed so. Chucky Tarpley goes for the spin on the back straightaway, putting us under our 3rd caution of the night for the K1 Speed Machine.
Cautions breed cautions. That's what they say all the time. Get everybody in the hornet's nest, and it's easy to get them upset. And I mean, he's in heavy traffic. He's trying to work on Ollie Reeves here. He actually gets just nearly clear of him. Has to get out of the gas a little bit on exit. Gets run over by the 45 of Andretti Robinson. And it's just so hard to get that car woed back down. So easy to spin out when you're trying to get it back on the racing surface.
Very tricky stuff there for the driver of the 25, who now has to repair some of the damage to his race car and then try to come back from this one. While we're under caution here from the Darlington Raceway, don't go away. We'll take a short break and we'll be back with you for coverage of the opening race of the playoffs. You're watching Season 4 SAAC Cup Series from the Darlington Raceway live on the KBueno Racing Network. Welcome back to the SAAC Cup Series Season 4 from the Darlington Raceway. We're just in time for the restart here, as on the front row is the 82 and the 9 machines. You see a bit of a stack up on the inside, but a great launch there as Jurgensmeyer has the gap now in front of him. As we're back under green, a good restart for Trafari with James Thurston out front and Maggio now on the outside. Oh, and Bomar with trouble. Look at Luke Mahone fill the outside up as they'll go 3 wide. Jurg on the bottom.
Yeah, Bomar had to get out of the gas big time. Now we're 3 wide through turns 3 and 4. We'll see how they negotiate this. Looks like Jonathan Jurgensmeyer is going to say, yep, I'm good. You guys can have it. I'll live to fight another lap. Little squeeze play on the exit of turn 4, but Steven Maggio was ripping the fence around the outside of Bomar. I thought for a second he might have been able to get to Trafari on the exit of turn number 2, but Bomar had to get out of the gas big time, and it lost him a couple of spots here to Hyder and to Mahone as everyone's hitting the wall and fanning out down the back straightaway.
Michael Walls made big contact, or wide for a moment, as all the way to the bottom is the 81. Rott tags the outside wall as well. Moreno's in the middle of all that as Missoula gets to the outside wall. There is so much going on here as now you look at Austin Doran go 3 wide middle.
3 wide middle, it's plenty of action at the track. Too tough to tame off of these restarts. And we're still side by side all the way through. And
Cazzola getting turned.
Cazzola gets hit. He's sideways back straight now. Has a lot of damage on that 18 car.
He probably has some suspension damage, but you saw him getting hit in the left rear, and it's probably what was spinning his car. We'll get a brief look at it right here. There's the 12 Christopher Robinson, just makes some slight contact the wall saves him, so does Larry Miles, and everybody scatters appropriately to miss that number 18 machine. He'll recover with relatively minimal damage for what kind of incident it was, but he loses track position as now Beaumont gets back by the 34 Luke Mahone, as Jurgensmeyer was there for the 7th place spot, ready to take it if anything happens, and just like that, Nate, you're single file up through the field.
That was a hectic first couple of laps. Now things are going to calm down a little bit, but it's something I wanted to note before Gabe Cazzola started to spin around. If you look, as we were looking at that, it was Ethan Fonseca Moreno has gotten past Gabriel Dehari all the way at that first run. Those are the 2 fastest cars on the racetrack. If they can both negotiate traffic, Ethan Fonseca Moreno is out in front again. He's done it better so far than Dehari. As now to the outside comes Luke Mahone on Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. Side by side as they cross the stripe. We'll see if Jurgensmeyer pushes the issue down inside. No thank you, he says. He backs it up. Luke Mahone takes a spot from Jurg.
Keeps the spot.
Takes a chunk of the wall.
Keeps the spot on the 00, but it might not be over. Further up ahead, AJ Hyder now to the inside of Steven Maggio. That's for the 4th spot, or for the 3rd spot rather, as the 48 and 51 will do battle. Hyder getting sideways on the bottom, but hangs onto it. Maggio with the run up top. Could clear back to turn 1, but definitely has the preferable line, nearly making contact as Hyder trying to side draft, but he'll have to tuck away and give the 51 the advantage, as there's James Beaumont, who's closing up inside the top 5 for the first time tonight.
AJ Hyder, one of those guys we talked about having a somewhat disappointing start to this race. He's turned it around, very similar to Steven Maggio, and might I even say very similar to his performance last week at Slinger in the All-Star race, the safe driver shootout. AJ Hyder was forced in his heat race, but he came back to win the main event at Slinger and went home with so the victor went the spoils from Slinger Speedway in Wisconsin, Slinger, Wisconsin, I should say. Just a week ago.
More trouble for the 31 of Ollie Reeves out ahead, who tagged the outside wall. There's Andretti Robinson making the move on Nicholas Baumann, who it was a great start for Baumann, but ever since the last couple of restarts, as he tags the wall again, it's just been troublesome. Jahari's been stuck in this traffic as well, heating up his tires. There's Michael Walls, who also fell down the order as well. So it's just been a struggle for a lot of cars that were further up in front of the field earlier on in this race. The highest runner of those who was in the top 5 much earlier is this 92 machine, who's recovered up to 12th after the early wreck, as there's Baumann going for a spin. What a save.
Oh, Dehari got dangerously close to the inside wall there. He was also about all the way sideways with the 81 of Baumann. My goodness. It was as dangerous out of turn number 2. Baumann, he struggled. He was in the wall. He was really just trying to get out of it. Comes out of the corner, hits the wall again, and the 72's right there. Look at the 72 take the escape route down the back straightaway. That could have been a disaster for Gabriel Dehari, who comes into this Eliminator chase 3rd, and he's trying to get back to the front that he held for so long at the start of this race. Mahone and Jurgensmeyer, they're side by side again. Jurgensmeyer wraps the bottom. He's going to try to get clear of the 34. The back end steps out on exit, but he's going to get the spot.
And there's another battle for 3rd. Maggio under pressure once again from the 48, but nothing doing as Jurg takes over 6th further back. And this top 5 has quickly gotten close together, relatively speaking, closer than what it was earlier. But what I was saying is Moreno's had a decent chance of working through the field once more to at least get some of his track position back. He's only up to 11th right now in the traffic as Hyder gets another run on Maggio. But this 92 may not be out of it yet, as we approached under 50 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, and there's still another pit stop to go as well, even with the cautions that they've had. I just don't think that the tires are really going to last that long. And even if you could run the fuel window, I think it might actually be quicker to still come in and split it 30 and 30 if you had 60 laps on fuel to come in, just because that's how much tires mean at Darlington Raceway.
And tires mean a lot, and the possibility of a green flag pit stop is increasing with every single lap that we run. And honestly, it would not surprise me if, I would say, lap 90 and onwards, we see anybody die for pit road, because it's like you said, they just mean so much. You don't want to fall behind on the strategy. The biggest fear would be a caution coming out, and we've seen proof of that. We've seen proof of that so many times, Nate, specifically when you and I are in the booth, cautions during green flag cycles, and I think every single one of these drivers is thinking about that. Possible cautions during green flag cycles. So whilst the ideal strategy and the preferred strategy is to split this run in about 10 laps from now, I think the fear of a caution is just going to far outweigh the desire to split the run.
Yeah, especially when you come to a place like Darlington. I talked earlier about how it's the most difficult pit road to enter in all of NASCAR, and that works on iRacing, that works in the real world as well. It it's so far from the racing surface. There's so much room for things to go wrong. It's bumpy. You're trying to get down the speed, but you're trying to make as much time as possible. Guys wreck there doing that all the time. As we look at that Ethan Fonseca Moreno getting past the 52 of Austin Duran. Slowly but surely, that Jaws theme starting to play. Ethan Fonseca Moreno, he's not going to go quietly into this Darlington night.
And watch this camera angle as we ride around in Darlington. This is one of the better tracks, so we show this angle of the rear spoiler. Homestead and Kansas, among other tracks that demonstrate it nicely, is just how close you get to the outside wall on board with the driver of the 92. Just watch as he'll get closer to the outside wall, using every inch of this racetrack to make speed.
And I'd say getting up there and just kind of kissing the outside wall instead of actually getting up there for the entire corner almost makes it more difficult, because you have to be that much more pinpoint with your speed. That one hit would turn into the entire corner being you right on the walls. Now AJ Hyder gets back to the bottom of Stephen Maggio, and the caution is out as that battle starts. I think Hyder had the spot.
He had the spot, but trouble further back once more. It looks like Ollie Reeves is around, Shockey Tarpley as well. Some more trouble for a couple of cars that have already found their fair share of troubles throughout the night. And it goes from bad to worse.
Chase drivers as well.
Indeed so. Here's the look at it. Donovan David and Ollie Reeves were making contact off of turn 4. Reeves clips the apron. The 4 tags the wall, and the 25 had nowhere to go. That was in the lap of Michael Walls as well, who might have gotten a piece of that one. And the 72 of Gabriel Dahari.
That was a huge hit for the 25 of Shockey Tarpley to the inside wall. Car got air as he hit that wall on pit road. Let's take a look at the onboard of Gabriel Dahari. How'd you like to see this in front of you when you're trying to maintain a playoff or a chase spot and you've been the dominant car of the first run? Man, parts of the Red Seas to get through there. He's been around a couple of them tonight as he's trying to still work slowly but surely back through the field here. Just a couple spots behind Ethan Fonseca Moreno, but after the starting run he had, he does not want to finish in the top 10. He wants to finish in the top 1.
That would help, especially knowing the playoff format that we have, that it can be quite confusing. So you just want to make sure you have the best results as possible. That's the best way to guarantee yourself on through the next round. And I will say these are crucial pit stops, Nate, because these could be possibly the final pit stops. Track position matters way too much. Tires matter a lot. But if you get a late race restart, it might just be about track position. Hyder misses his stall. You saw him have to readjust. He's going to lose a good amount of track position. And we'll see if the rest of these drivers are able to execute nicely on pit road in order to keep their spots. As there's Thurston pulling into his stall, and here come the rest of the leaders. Doran, there's Moreno going into a stall, Dahari, and could we see 2 tires?
You might see 2 tires, but AJ Hyder did that just as I was about to say,
And
don't make
Maggio.
a mistake, and 2 tires. There it is.
Unsurprising. Lot of 2
Unsurprising
tires.
to see 2 tires. I saw Jonathan Juergensmeyer, Stephen Maggio, Justin Rott. I think Michael Walls took 2 tires. Care to guess what those guys all have in common?
They're all the same team.
They're all clearly a strategy call made by the bigwigs at Goat Inc.
Yep, the top
to get
4.
2 tires on the car.
The top 4 have all taken 2 tires in this race. And Stephen Maggio is probably the guy who would coin it. If there's anybody you would coin as the guy to take 2 tires, it's this guy right here, Stephen Maggio. Taking 2 tires to get the track position that he has not had all night long. And this could be the moment where his season turns around. We'll restart with 40 laps to go in this race. So still a long way to go in terms of Darlington laps. And because the runs are so long. Justin Rott will be second. He'll choose on the bottom with Jurg, who is third. He'll choose on the top and it looks like the 24 Michael Walls will go to the bottom. So a little bit of an inverted situation with the choose and winds up. And there's Moreno, who's going to be lining up as the third car on the inside row. So Moreno's done a good job of recovering. He's also the first car on 4 tires, alongside with James Beaumont. So this is going to be very interesting, Nate, here to see how the 2 tires fare. I think they'll fare nicely. They normally do with this car. But we'll just have to see how well now, with clean air, with track position, some of these other cars handle, because we have not seen the likes of any of them, for that matter, with this good of track position.
And 40 laps to go, that was kind of the spot that you and I were thinking would be where they'd be coming in for their last pit stop, should they have done the 2-stop strategy, these drivers. So probably their last stops of the race. But if this goes to all 40 laps, it'll be really, really interesting to see how bad the balance is on those 2-tire cars.
And there we go, into the restart zone. We're back underway, and you look at that top side, get the perfect restart. Jurg really helps out Maggio big time going into turn 1. Jurg now is going to have to deal with the pressure from second as Rock goes through third. Look at Beaumont trying to take advantage, but the caution flag will wave. Trouble further back, a big crash at that. Looks like a couple of cars involved. Looks like possibly the 28, the 9, Connor Trafari was in it. I saw the 9 car in it. That's going to be huge for Trafari, as he has some left side damage to his car. Numerous drivers involved.
Add him to the long list of chase drivers that have had problems in this race. It's almost uncanny to its real life counterpart in the Southern 500. The way Darlington it seems to see that colorful banner on the front of these cars. Yeah, you're a chase driver? Yeah, you're mine. Oh, Trafari just looped it around, lost it, and got run over by Declan George at the end of it, hit by Donovan David. A lot of damage to that 9 car. Then he kissed the outside wall for good measure and got hit by the 28. Everybody wanted a piece of the 9 car, Fran.
Hang on, I want to be a part of it too, is probably what went through the minds of some of these. Is what Connor Trafari thinks is, we'll go on board with him here. And it might be possible netcode with the 68. Yeah. I would say so for sure, that's going to be netcode with Alexander Schumacher, that resulted in the 9 car spinning because it jumped automatically. It was not a slow spin that you could tell happened naturally. That was a jump due to netcode. So unfortunate there that's what happened to the driver of the 9, but it happened nonetheless, and a couple of other cars will join him on pit road in order to get some of the damage repaired on his vehicle. But up front, Nate, these guys survived the restart. They maintained the top 2, does Steven and Jurg. Rott will be in 4th. Just Thurston splits them in 3rd, with Beaumont 5th. And Moreno is able to maintain the 2nd spot. It's been troublesome for Tahari to make up spots. He sits in the 14th position right there, as numerous other drivers who were having struggling days earlier on have actually recovered nicely. Declan George is on the lead lap, and he's running 17th. Alexander Schumacher is in 15th. A couple of cars who were sitting laps down earlier, Quincy Strawhacker, Connor Zola, Jason Rashcock, all on the lead lap with competitive vehicles.
There's still plenty of racing to go, and I think important when it comes to the 2 tires versus 4 tires, there's been a heat cycle in these tires now. They've gotten up to speed, they've backed down from speed, so that does have, you know, a slight impact on these cars. It's still better to have 4 tires, and I think it's going to serve them better as the run gets long, but it also ticks away laps, puts a little bit less wear on those left side tires that they did not replace. Guys like Maggio, Jurgensmeyer, Rott, and those guys. And you notice last restart, the outside lane launched away this time. Justin Rott said, okay, I learned my lesson, didn't restart well on the inside, I want to go to the top, I want to get behind my teammates.
Well, not only that, but also because they line up nose to tail, it forces the 82 to choose that bottom to have the front row spot, but he'll be at a disadvantage. Those teammates will be working together to get the better restart and possibly clear Jurg for the 2nd spot. That's what we normally see on the surface when you have teammates in a position like this. They will use the advantage of the restarts, kind of like the hand signals, if you will. Let the guy know when you're going to go, and it's going to be very difficult for the competition to guess when in the zone you're going, when exactly you're going. You can guess, but 9.5 times out of 9 3/4 times, you're probably going to guess wrong.
And I've been in those VCs with guys like, actually specifically Stephen Maggio and Jonathan Jurgen and Rott, and it's, all right, I'm going to the sports clip sign, or I'm going at the start of the box, or I'm going to go 2/3 of the way through the box, or they're just going to yell go, and that's when they mash the gas. So Those restart games always happen in the real world, and it's even easier in iRacing because you can talk to each other, and you see that launch synchronized between the 51, 00, and 76. Allows Maggio to get away. The forwards lean on each other side by side through turn number 1 and 2. It's going to let that fabulous Hudson Hornet fly away. They fan out, hit the wall down the backstretch. Andretti Robinson all the way down to the dirty part of the track on the apron. Looks like everyone's going to get away fairly clear. Dahari and Hyder, two guys trying to get back to the front of this field, working on each other.
And it was a hard hit to the outside wall for Hyder on the restart itself, so he might have some damage on the 48 as Thurston aggressively clears away from Jurgensmeyer. There's contact with the 15 of Bomar. He is sideways and he saves it. The hit saved him, but further back, more trouble. The
Jason Rajcock did not save it.
He did not. He goes around, and that'll bring us under the caution flag once again. And he had just gotten back on the lead lap.
And Declan George got a lot of the wall up top as well. You'll see it when we go to replay. He was riding the outside wall, and I certainly don't think he was trying to pull a Kyle Larson or a Sheldon Creed type of move. He got a lot of it as another hectic and chaotic restart, puts another heat cycle into these tires, and bunches the field back up. This is looking at Jason Rajcock. A couple spots ahead of him, the Dukes of Hazzard car is Declan George. He looks like he got hit by Gabe Rizzola, got the wall, and it was a stack up behind Declan George that led to Jason Rajcock getting spun.
Looks like possibly contact with the number 30 machine is what sent him spinning. Trying to find that for the replay. The 30 car was behind 71, and there's the hit as they were checking up, and that's what sends Rajcock spinning.
It's always so tough to get on the brakes like that, because you get on the brakes too hard and your car's going to just kind of push straight up the racetrack. And you can't always expect how much the people in front of you are going to check up for a wreck. You might not even realize there's a wreck happening in front of you until it's too late to get on the brakes for it. But Steven Maggio survives another restart. James Thurston is up to second. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer third. Justin Rott fourth. And you know, for what we were saying about teammates on restarts there, James Thurston held his own pretty well to convert restarting on the inside of the first row to being in second by the time the next yellow came out, as we continue to click away laps just outside of 30 to go.
And as the night goes on, Nate, I keep anxiously checking my parlays because I got some stuff on here on Thursday Night Football, and there's a chance. It's still early in their quarter, but there's a chance. But I really need some big plays to go my way, and I think a lot of these drivers are thinking the same thing for their race here, because there's almost under 30 laps to go by the time we go green, and they're still looking for things to go their way to really help them out. And one of them that is getting something to go back their way is the 92 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno, who's cracked the top 5 once again, has been patient on these restarts, and that's something I saw out of him last night in the 4-wide series race. Through the late overtimes, the restarts really helped him make back some of the track position he lost on an earlier restart, and it resulted in him getting a 4th place finish out of that event. He'll choose on the bottom here this time, but Moreno clearly hungry after yesterday's letdown, and he's looking to try and come back with vengeance.
And you talk about yesterday in 4-wide, but how about Monday night when we were virtually north of the border in Montreal? I think I mentioned the Jaws theme a few times in that one, and he just about snuck the win away from Jonathan Jurgensmeyer in that race. He was a lap short on fuel as he was hounding the leader there. He's getting probably deja vu seeing the 00 out in front of him. It's another quiet race for Jonathan Jurgensmeyer at the front here.
And Jonathan Jurgensmeyer finished second in last night's race at that, so everybody inside this top 5 is looking for a reason to win this race. I don't think there's anything short of a reason to win. Jurgensmeyer trying to get back to victory lane, get a second win on the week after that victory at Montreal. Maggio trying to get his first on the season. James Thurston trying to, I believe, get his second of the season. Justin Rott trying to get his first of the season. So many storylines here to talk about in the final 31 laps of this race. But again, a long way to go for Darlington standards. Maggio will lead us into the restart zone once again, and the green flag is back out. Jurgensmeyer struggles to get going, but so does the 34 of Luke Mahone. And just like that, we're going to be 3 wide.
3 wide stack up going into turn 1. Bauman on the bottom beneath Schumacher, and then straw hacker, looks like. Everyone gets away clean. They're
Oh,
hitting the
Mahone gets
wall.
turned.
Luke Mahone does not get away clean.
Gets turned
Into
to
the
the
wall with the
outside.
nose.
And he'll save it for now. Gazzola goes all the way down. Cars are on the apron. Gazzola with the weirdest angle possible to rejoin, but he rejoins safely. And just like that, as we've seen many times tonight, restart troubles do not result in a yellow flag.
Yeah, that's kind of been the story. Is there's been restart troubles pretty much all the way around this race. And you see it there as the 34 gets up into, I believe that was the 42. But everyone gets away, and Gabe Gazzola, it looks like he's going through the dog-legged Phoenix with as far down the racetrack he got there. But it's not nearly as viable here as it is at Phoenix, because it's a much sharper corner, a much sharper turn you got to take, and there's no banking, so didn't get much of an advantage. But out front, James Thurston keeping in contact with Steven Maggio.
You can't park there, is the sentiment. There's the gap now between the top two. Thurston this time has not let your leader get away. He was able to get past Jurgensmeyer. Now he cruises up to the back. He aero packs Maggio. Maggio sideways, and he's wrecking. He's into the outside wall. He saves it. But look at Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, who closes the gap up, and now he moves to second.
Inside comes Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, Mr. Consistency, as we've known him. But when he has the chance to strike, he absolutely will strike. He's not able to complete the move on Maggio there, and now he's under fire from Justin Rott. But as these guys keep fighting each other up here, Ethan Fonseca Moreno is licking his chops, and that Jaws theme is getting a little bit louder in these guys' headsets.
And I tell you what, that was a perfect showcase of the aero packing situation. Maggio had not had anybody directly on his bumper in a handful of laps, and as soon as the 82 gets anywhere close to him, stacks that air on the rear bumper of his, and Maggio was wrecking loose. Tagged the outside wall, not nearly as hard as Christopher Robinson did further back there, but it ultimately damaged his car a little bit, and it cost him the lead and brought Jurgensmeyer and the rest of them on his back bumper. He's kind of settled out for now. He holds on to second, but he has to be careful in these closing laps, as there's Dahari, who's made a good imprint on this run to get back inside the top 10.
Yeah, the traffic is thinned out a little bit for the 72, so he's been able to navigate a little bit easier. So has helped to have these cautions restack the field a little bit, but he is still a couple of spots behind Ethan Fonseca Moreno, and I think definitely slower through traffic. We'll see if he can get to clean air again, how much faster he'll be, as Ethan Fonseca Moreno finds the outside quarter panel of Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, pins it up on the wall, and he's going to rattle the boards all the way past the 00, back into the top 3 for Ethan Fonseca Moreno.
And Jurg will concede the spot, just realizes that the 92 was faster and had the advantage, and will allow the 92 to now chase down from the 3rd spot. Remember, Moreno was leading this race after the penalty to the 72 of Gabriel Dahari, before the 92 himself committed a pit road speeding penalty. And that's what set the both of them back, but up until that point, they had been faster than James Thurston. You remember on that first run of the race, they put 4 seconds on him, so it's not anybody we're talking about. It was the 2 fastest cars on the racetrack, and he still has time. He still has just under 25 laps to make something of this gap, so never say never with Ethan Fonseca Moreno.
And that's a sizable run. That is a fairly long run for Darlington standards as far as tire life is concerned. So Ethan Fonseca Moreno, he's a guy we know can save a little bit of tire while still pushing, and that pace is still in that 92 car. You can see it ever so clearly as he's working on Steven Maggio now. Meanwhile, Gabriel Dahari he's got 3 Godink cars in his sights right there. How about Alexander Schumacher?
Back in the top 10 for Alexander Schumacher. He was a lap down earlier in this race as Baumann goes to his inside. It would be a nice recovery for the 68 to get a top 10 finish out of this one after finishing 3rd last night at Nashville and getting a top 10 finish at Montreal earlier this week as well. It's been an insanity run for the 68, but the yellow flag will wave. Looks like trouble further back. 9 of Connor Trafari involved once again.
Bad to worse for the 9 car. Not the start to the chase that he wanted. He came into this race second, just 25 points behind the leader, Ethan Fonseca Moreno. We're going to take a look at what happened here. He's got Larry Miles to his inside. May have had a little bit of contact, not totally sure, but they get out of turn number 4.
Looks like he got
there.
Loose.
Yeah, it gets loose, bobbles off the side of the 30 and back to the wall. Less people hit him this time than his last spin. So certainly fortunate on that front, but because it was, I don't even know if they actually made contact there at the apex. But then it's here coming out of turn 4. The back end steps out. He's got to chase it down. Big problem. There's a car there. It's going to send you back the other way to the outside wall.
Ricocheted into the outside wall, but generally speaking, it's like you said, a lot better of an overall outcome of the incident for the number 9 machine than it was the first time. And yet here we sit now with 20 laps to go in this race. They have about 20 laps on their tires. Not many of them have been under the green flag, but I'll say with only 27 on the lead lap, could we see pit stops? You see some cars leaning to the bottom. They could be psyching out, most likely. Yeah, I would expect that to be the case. But someone could pit, and there it is. Michael Walls will be the first one to lead them on the pit road. A lot of cars follow him.
As well. Yeah, it was kind of split the field. The first guy decided to come down. Everyone was like, hey, that's a bright idea. Let me put some tires on it. You got to work through traffic anyway, so you might as well put on 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles and get that advantage, because there has been some life taken out of these tires. Michael Wall's the first of these guys on, but so too Gabriel Dahari. We've talked about him trying to work his way through the field. These tires will help him do that.
Absolutely right, and I'm telling you, they did not lose a lot of track position by making this call, because only 6 cars have stayed out on the racetrack, so really almost none of them are going to lose any significant track position. So this is going to be a really great opportunity for a lot of these drivers. And Nate, I got to ask you, while we still have an opportunity here under this caution flag, you've had a chance to get a good look of all these race cars. Who do you have an eye on for one of your favorite throwbacks of the night?
Yeah, there's a lot of nice looking cars, but my favorite throwback was solidified the moment that I saw it sitting on pit road during practice. He went so far as to change his iRacing name for the throwback. Brad Sawinski's 28 Nitro Aid car, throwback to Aiken Axler. Yes, that's the Piston Cup driver's name from the movie Cars. Yes, I know that, and yes, I know some other ones too. I absolutely love this car. I think I had probably 13 diecasts of this car when I was a kid. And then in 2017, when Cars 3 came out, the new Nitro Aid car had the same exact design on it. I was absolutely thrilled. Love this car. I was so happy to see it on the racetrack. The moment I saw it, I had to go ping Brad Sawinski in the general chat, say, that's my favorite throwback. You win. Friend, what's your favorite here tonight?
Oh man, I could go with the biased choice and say that it's Gabe Cazzola's crispy M&Ms design off of Kyle Busch. I could be like that. But you know what? In the spirit of cars and everything you just mentioned right now, I'll go with Stephen Maggio's Hudson Hornet machine in the spirit of the Cars franchise and everything that Doc Hudson and the Hudson Hornet meant for the lore of that movie. There's just so many good ones to choose from. There's really no wrong choice to go with here tonight. But if I had to pick one, it's got to be that number 51.
The fabulous looking race car.
It's been like that all night long. The fabulous puns will continue, and they probably won't be done, as we'll have 18 laps to go from Darlington. Once again, it'll be James Thurston now leading the field on old tires. First car on new tires is the 72 Gabriel Dahari from the 7th spot. A lot of those drivers at pit took 2 tires. A lot of the ones closer to the front and into the restart zone. It's going to be Thurston leading. A little bit of a wheel spin for Justin Rock, and a lot of cars on the inside. As they get back to turn 1, this could be very interesting from the back end of the top 5 with the new tires. You see Rotten, Bauman going side by side in front of Doran, and this is going to be very sketchy off of turn 2. Oh, and the fin spinning goes Bomar.
Bomar's around.
Michael Walls getting a piece of it as well. No caution as of yet. Walls coming almost to a complete stop, but there's the caution now. But look at all that front end damage on the 15. That's probably night over.
Yeah, that car is destroyed. And Bomar, he had done phenomenal all race tonight. He'd been really in the top 5 for much of this race. Well, take a look at what happened. You saw the front of the field, everyone kind of bobbling, restarting on those old dirty tires. Doesn't look like that had any kind of accordion effect here to the rear of the field. So we'll look at Walls and Bomar pretty far away from each other as they exit the corner, and there, contact on the exit. They run out of racetrack. Gabe Cazzola got a piece of Bomar, and that's really what sent Bomar down to the inside wall. But we talk about it on restarts all the time. You get just a little bit sideways, there's so many cars coming up behind you. One of them is bound to not get on the brakes quick enough. This is the onboard with Walls, and it was just the slightest contact as they ran out of racetrack here. Walls actually looks like he did not get a huge hit. The angle may not have been good there for the right front toe link, perhaps, but it looks like he was actually able to get it back straight. But he is going to come to pit road with a few others, and I'm going to guess there was probably no takers from the front of the field with those old tires deciding they wanted new tires. I feel like you made your bed, you kind of have to lay in it now, unless you get a chance to restart later on here, maybe inside of 10 laps to go with more people deciding they want to come in and fix tires because the new tires they just put on are worn out a little bit too much for their liking. But this ticks away laps for those new tire guys to get by the leaders on these old tires. But that difference in tire life at Darlington is so stark. I think really once these guys get up to speed, those 4-tire guys are going to have a field day working through everyone.
I will say, Nate, though, that ever since they updated these next-gen cars, the track position means so much. And I had first-hand experience of it last night at the Nashville Super Speedway, another relatively abrasive track for these NASCAR Goodyear Eagles. And Jaden Porter won that race. He was one of 3 cars to stay out. He kept the lead the entire time. The other 2, yeah, I don't think they finished in the top 10, but Jaden Porter kept the lead and was running his fastest laps of the race with what was at the time 40-lap old tires compared to most of the field that had brand new tires for overtime restarts. So if that goes to show anything, it's that being in the lead and executing from the lead is probably the single biggest factor over tire wear at this point with these next gen cars. So these drivers that stayed out, they have a chance so long as they execute, as there's the choose now with 1 to green.
I just feel like with 15 laps to go and so few cars on the old tires for the new tires to get by, that it's going to just be made a lot easier, especially because it is Darlington. Nashville is abrasive, but there's nowhere as abrasive as Darlington Raceway. The only one that ever held a candle to it was Atlanta before they repaved it and turned it into a super speedway. This place eats tires. It's like that video of when Larry McReynolds was taking a cheese grater to the tire and just shredding away. That's kind of what Darlington does to these things.
Yep, one of the oldest surfaces on the NASCAR schedule asphalt-wise. And it continues to be a challenge for drivers down the stretch here. Inside, 15 laps to go for the lady in black. Once again, James Thurston will lead from Ethan Fonseca-Moreno. We'll see if the wheel spin improves on this restart now that they had 1 chance at it. As they'll enter the restart zone, there's the launch from their leader. Maggio gets a great launch as well. He'll push the 82 clear. Moreno hanging on the bottom. He'll be side by side for the 51 for second. As there you see Rott and Jurgens get clear of one another.
Yeah, the leaders got single file really, really quick, but here's Austin Duran getting to the inside of Justin Rott.
Big crash off of turn 2. There's the caution flag waving. I was a little bit late to it, but numerous cars were parked up and sideways off of turn number 2. I think one of them I saw was Michael Walls once again. So just a bad night gone worse for the 24 machine. We'll get a second look at what could have possibly caused this incident. There were so many cars sideways parked up there off of turn 2 that I noticed that it's going to be difficult to pick this one apart.
Yeah, it's like a broken record. It is always chaotic on these restarts. And if they can get away after a couple of laps, the run is going to go pretty far, it usually seems. But as the intensity picks up late in the race, these things happen more and more. You see some issues there. Bauman gets the wall. I think I've said that one about 4 times tonight. And it's further back. It's Cody Riveras, and he gets pounded by the 34 of Luke Mahone, who had nowhere to go as he saw the 36 kind of just appear in front of him. He also looks like he got a piece of Alexander Schumacher.
We'll try and get a better look at the initial moment in which something happened here. It looks like around him is the 9 of Connor Trafari behind the 36. And as they're going through the corner, looks like, yeah, the 9 gets into the back of Rivera, spins Riveras around. And there's the hit from Mahone. That looked a lot worse initially than what it did. That was also a close call there. I believe the 8 going around. But once again, just Cody Riveras, Connor Trafari at the center of some of these problems. It has not been an ideal second half of the race. I'll tell you what, it's not been a great second half of the race for the pace car driver, he's had to do a lot of work. He's probably getting tired.
Yeah, he's logged a lot more laps than probably had hoped to do in this one. um, but again, this is another one where we're gonna take away more laps under caution. It's working a lot more into the favor of these guys with the old tires. Guys like James Thurston, guys like Steven Maggio, Ethan Fonseca Moreno, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. All these guys, not only did they stay out under that most recent caution, a lot of them only put on 2 tires with about 40 laps to go in this race. So they're running on some really old stuff.
And Moreno was one of those that took 4. We'll see if that pays any dividends at the end of the race. But this is why, a big reason why staying out was such a big ploy. You get these split strategies, you get a lot of caution flags down the stretch, and as long as you keep the track position through the stretches of cautions, how can they pass you if you're behind the pace car? They can't. So it's a good move on their part to try this. And as we sit here now approaching under 10 laps to go, another caution would all but seal anybody from new tires from really mounting any kind of a charge. But even then, so just from the little green flag racing we've seen, Nate, it's going to be difficult for any of them to make any kind of a run to the front leaders. There's just a lot of dirty air, a lot of factors that go into making any of these moves stick.
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head there with that one. Maybe 10 laps to go, but I think you're right. Another caution that would pretty much seal things, and that's the variable that you can't account for. That you got to try to predict when you're making that decision, and it's what determines whether or not you're right or wrong. Is the green flag flies again with 10 laps to go from the track Too Tough to Tame.
And that's a good launch for Moreno this time. He'll be even with the 82 of Thurston through 1 and 2, but he'll get sideways. He'll straddle the apron and he'll save it, but he's going to lose all the track position. Oh, and Dahari spins.
We're crashing. Dahari's around.
Dahari spins, and that'll put us under the yellow flag. His recovery efforts will be stalled out, and he'll lose the track position, much like Moreno at the same time. Oh, boy.
Somebody has Ethan Fonseca Moreno and Gabriel Dahari's voodoo doll, and they're stabbing them repeatedly at the most crucial moments of this race. And we saw it earlier when they both got speeding penalties on back-to-back cautions after being out in front. And then here, Dahari's got new tires. Ethan Fonseca Moreno's driving to the lead. Moreno spins, and this is further back. Look at Dahari. He loses it on the exit of the corner.
It looked like a situation of aero packing with the 52 of Doran behind him. We'll try and get another look at it from the standpoint of the 52 to kind of better show the cause of that. And it perfectly encapsulates everything we talked about with the aero packing situation. Is that you don't need contact. All it takes is just a little bit of anything. Steve, no contact, but he finished him off.
Yeah, he certainly did, and that's another one. If you're, the 52 of Austin Duran there, you can't get on the brakes nearly that quick, because if you get on the brakes that quick, it's going to be you spinning with the 72.
Yeah, makes things a lot worse. But in the process, Doran moves up to third as more cars did make their way onto pit road. Actually went up there for something else, but he is in fifth now. It once again puts Goat Guys second through fourth with Maggio, Rott, and Jurgensmeyer. And Andretti Robinson has moved his way up into the sixth spot. Moreno and all of that drops to 14th. So not ideal for the 92. He had his best launch. He had what would probably be one of his better opportunities of passing that 82 on the restart. And I tell you what, he clipped the apron, which is not abnormal at Darlington, but that probably upset his car enough that he hadn't done that in a handful of laps, that he wasn't ready for the handling on that car to change like it did. He got sideways, and that was all she wrote. As he's dooring here, Connor Trafari, probably something being said in the voice chat, I would assume. But Moreno has a lot of work to do in these final 7 or so laps if he wants to salvage a top 10 finish at that.
Yeah, I kind of talked about it at the start of the race the last month or so, a little bit longer than that. It's been Murphy's Law for Ethan Fonseca Moreno. Anything that has been able to go wrong has gone wrong, and it's been able to take him away from contention for a couple of wins in races where he's had a shot, some of which he maybe just should have won.
You know, I will say, the best thing I can think of is that Moreno and Dahari, their performances are indicative of that of someone, in this case me, had them in a parlay. This is what the outcome equals. So it has not been fun. I mean, just for reference, I everything is going for me in this Bills and Dolphins game from tonight, Nate. And about the only thing that has not really happened and probably won't at this point, but who knows what's left to happen in the game, is a Tyreek Hill and Joshua Palmer touchdown. And that's about the only thing that doesn't look like it's happening. So if anybody had a Dahari and Moreno top 10, which sounds just about as sure as possible, it's far from over. But it doesn't look too pretty for it right now, as we'll have 6 laps to go. A better restart at the front of the field. You see the stack ups further back already getting 3 wide. Rott clears for second as they head back
There's
to
a
turn
phenomenal
1.
move from Rott. Love that move from Rott. Get second clear. You're not going to be battling anybody. He didn't try to fight into turn 1. Now he's going to get lined up, woed up. He's in the tire track to James Thurston. He might have a chance if they don't go under caution again.
And you see Thurston straddling the apron. He'll drift up a little bit. If Rott can kind of fight the dirty air a little bit, he could stand a chance, but we'll see if we end up under the caution flag again before the white flag comes out. Doran and Maggio battling tough for position as Quincy Strawhacker nearly gets into the back of the 81. As you see, tough battling outside the top 10 as well. Cars slamming the outside wall as they have all night long, up and down through the field.
Robinson's around into the outside wall.
Robinson goes for a spin and a big crash in turn number 3, and the caution flag will wave. More cars piling in. Moreno's in it. Wyatt
Ethan
Roberts.
Fonseca Moreno. Oh, man.
Alexander Schumacher a part of it as well. And this, Nate, will put us into SAAC Cup Series overtime.
Oh, man. Said it all night. Cautions breed cautions. And it's true there. I mean, you saw everybody wallop the outside wall coming off of turn 2. It's indicative of the intensity, but there's people walloping the outside wall in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Andretti Robinson hits it. Everyone's got to get out of the way, and as everyone's trying to dodge the 45, Ollie Reeves gets into Christopher Robinson, and then he gets into Ethan Fonseca Moreno. Wyatt Roberts gets into it. Alexander Schumacher. A little bit of everybody. And it's getting to the point where I think just about every single Eliminator Chase driver in this race has found problems as far as being involved in an accident or something of that nature, with the exception of Steven Maggio had problems early in the race, but they were early enough for him to recover. Jonathan Juergensmeyer has been very quiet. Shocker, fork found in the kitchen, as the kids say. So it has really not been a whole lot going on for those guys, but other than that, everyone's been having problems.
It looked like the 45, or rather the 42, tried to follow Reeves through the gap that existed, and he just ended up making slight enough contact with the 31, and that's what sent him into Robinson. So here's the view. There's the 45 into the wall, and there's the contact. Yeah, wow.
It all happened so fast here, and he got, talk about contact. Big contact with the 45 on the back end of that crash as well.
Try to get one more look at it that'll try to show it as best as possible what I was describing, because it's really close and minuscule, but you'll have to look at it closely. So here's a slow motion view of it. There's the contact already going on in front. The 31 is going to try to go through the middle. The 42 is holding his line here. He doesn't expect any movements. And watch the slightest bit of contact between the 42 and 31, and the slightest bit of contact from that results in the 12 going around. A few more feet between each of the drivers, and that's just the 31 spinning to the inside. Instead, it's a crash that picks up about 8 cars and goes from turn 2 all the way to turn 4.
A few more feet, I might dare say a few more inches. It was that close. And said, yeah, it's...
And there's Shuey just getting a piece of it late.
And it's almost, again, almost all chase drivers involved in that. Roberts, Moreno, Reeves, Robinson. Andretti Robinson, that is, Christopher Robinson, not in the chase.
You would think that this is Kansas playoffs from the NASCAR Cup Series or NASCAR Xfinity Series from how much chaos there's been. But it's just been that kind of night here from the track. Too tough to tame. Will be our first overtime attempt. If we get to the white flag, the race will be official and we'll have a winner at the checkered flag no matter what. If the caution comes out before the white flag, we'll rack them up and do it again. There'll be 3 opportunities to do it. We'll see if we have to use more than just this one. Attempt number 1 at overtime. James Thurston and Stephen Maggio are the front row, and there's already a stack up in the back, but no wreck. As we can take the green flag, Thurston clears for turn 1.
Just barely clear, and they're side by side, racing for second place advantage. James Thurston with those guys battling behind him. Justin Rott's going to try to get clear of his teammate on the exit of the corner. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer in the wall. Around goes Strawhacker. Big crash on the backstretch. Gabe Cazzola gets hit by Trafari, and the caution's out again.
Trafari goes spinning through the middle, nearly gets Cody Riveras, and multiple cars once again are wrecked. There's still cars wrecking. Here's the 42 once again. So many damaged cars here now, as this has become an absolute race of attrition. And once again, a wreck that starts in turn 2 and finishes in turn 4, and started all the way up in the front with Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. And everybody, Nate, I would say everybody since about the halfway point in the race has not gotten through turn 2 clean at all. I'm not sure what the track conditions are, but nobody is making turn 2 cleanly anymore.
Yeah, it's been a big issue for just about everyone. And this is the first time that we've really mentioned Jurg's name and being involved in something. Is he got...
And yeah, got through clean.
Yeah, he got through about as clean as you can hope for being the guy that starts the wreck. It looked very similar to Tyler Reddick here a couple of weeks ago. Just kind of brushing the outside wall. It looked like just the most minuscule contact. Maybe not even actual contact with the 81. And then everyone stacks up behind him. And Trafari tries to blend back onto the track, and he just absolutely nails Gabe Cazzola. And it's been an up and down, topsy-turvy race for Connor Trafari. He had the issues earlier in the race. He had worked his way back into the top 10, was thinking, hey, I might come out of here with some pretty good points. And after the incident with Dahari and Moreno, I might come out of here with the points lead. And it's all going to go away right here in this accident.
Yeah, it's been a tough night for just about everybody. I don't think there's been a single driver in tonight's race that has not been a part of some form of accident. That just goes to show how much attrition there's been. Here's an onboard look from number 18 of Gabe Cazzola. And he nearly gets through it.
Stacked up in front of him is not a whole lot you can... James Thurston probably pretty confident in his ability to defend a restart, but also he's probably thinking, man, I had that thing won. I had that wrapped up with a bow on it. They were side by side behind me. Now I gotta go and put on another good restart. I gotta risk spinning my tires, because it is still one mistake from James Thurston. Can and likely will lose him this race with as little time as we have left. I mean, think about it. He spins the tires on the restart, loses the battle to turn 1 to Stephen Maggio. It's probably game over.
And I want to remind you about something, Nate, as the lights are off on the pace car. It's been almost over 20 laps since we had that split caution decision of drivers that pit and drivers that didn't. 6 stayed out on the racetrack. 5 of those 6 are in the top 6 right now. So clearly staying out was probably the best decision to make, and it's really working out for the top 2 specifically, who are stayed out, but also 4th, 5th through 6th. Everybody but the 52 there is on that strategy. The Doran has slightly fresher tires, but at this point, how much of a role is that going to play, as there's Raw actually coming back up? I'm not sure if that was to send a message or what was going on, but nonetheless, we're getting ready for the second attempt at overtime. And once again, the 82 and the 51 leading us to the restart zone. And we're underway, and it's a little bit of a struggle for the 82 to get going. They'll be side by side for the lead to turn 1.
mistake I talked about from James Thurston. It wasn't a very big one. He still got the preferred lane, but Steven Maggio is not going to give him an inch as they restart through 1 and 2 in overtime. Thurston's just going to get the power down, and now here comes Austin Duran to the outside. They're going to be all the way to the bottom. Duran to the inside of Thurston.
With the fresher tires, there goes Doran. Thurston not giving up on the outside, side by side for the lead to the white flag.
What a battle we're going to have right here. It's fresh tires on the bottom, old tires on the top. This is going to settle it, or do they get into each other and Steven Maggio able to run away? And there's attack. Thurston's into the wall.
Thurston tags the wall. Doran not ready to give up quite yet. Maggio waiting in the wings. So is Bauman. Anything can happen here as they approach turn number 3. There's the send possibly. Doran will back out of it for the moment. Maggio's going to battle him for second, but James Thurston hangs on and survives the late race restarts, and he wins from Darlington.
Austin Doran had a chance, and he crossed the wake of that 82 going into turn 3. It was an incredible job to defend aerodynamically from James Thurston with the race on the line and a statement right off a rip. 61 laps led for James Thurston. Not a playoff driver, not a chase driver, but he's certainly lets everyone know I'm still that guy.
He's that guy tonight as he takes the win from the track too tough to tame after what turned out to be a dominating night. A lot of it behind the pace car in the second half. But he'll celebrate on the front straightaway as the winner from the SAAC Cup Series playoff opener as a spoiler. And how about that final restart, Nate? That was a ludicrous final 2 laps as Austin Doran nearly killed him in 3 and 4, but Thurston found grip with the older tires on the outside and was able to mount the charge. Let's see if we can get another look at that entire restart, and I want you to take us through it as to kind of unwind what we had just seen, because that was one of the all-time finishes of the season.
That was absolutely phenomenal. And I said before the restart, James Thurston couldn't make a mistake. I said spinning the tires was probably what it was going to be. And sure enough, as he goes to get the power down in the restart zone, spins the tires just a little bit, does not get a great launch. Maggio matches him just about a fender behind him at the line. Maggio did not give an inch whatsoever as they rolled through turn number 1. He said, yeah, you're going to have to fight me for this one right here. He backed up a little bit on the exit of the corner to save himself, and that really let Duran, with a rocket move at turn number 2, get all the way to the inside. I thought he was clear going into turn number 2 right here, or turn number 3 right here, but Thurston finds the power on the outside, and he's just able to get wheel to wheel with Austin Duran. You see how much momentum you get rolling the top, and you see another example of it here is Duran can't quite get to the inside even after making contact with the 82, and this is what I really want to talk about. This is fresh tires, more momentum down the backstretch, a couple of blocks from Thurston. This is the big one. Boom, right on quarter entry, gets the 52 in the dirty air in the wake of that car, and after that, there is absolutely nothing anyone could have done to catch that 82 coming back to the line. What a job from James Thurston to put on the aero block. It shows that defending in this car is not just dumb luck, it is absolutely a skill that you can work on and that you can figure out how to do. Incredible job from Thurston.
Great, masterful defense from James Thurston to take the win away in an epic showdown here in the final laps of the race. We'll go through our final results here from the Darlington Raceway here on the KBueno Racing Network, where obviously we talked about James Thurston taking the race win away. Second is able to go to Steven Maggio after what has been a troublesome night for him. He's able to come away with one of his better results on the season. Nicholas Bauman is able to recover nicely for a top 3 finish on the night. Doran, who is battling for the win there, recovers up to the 4th spot at the line after spinning off 4. Nicholas Bedimlik with a top 5 finish at the end of the night. We hadn't called his name nearly the entirety of the night. Great recovery for him. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer comes away with a 6th place effort. AJ Hyder, after being a lap down late, will finish in 7th. Gabriel Dahari recovers up to 8th. Jason Rashcock, who also spent a lot of this race a lap down, finishes in 9th. And Cody Rivera, who was slamming the outside wall, had suspension damage and went 2 laps down at one point, comes away with a top 10 finish night.
Yeah, finishing 11th, Brad Sawinski in the best throwback of the night to Aiken Axler. Then Christopher Robinson finishes 12th in the 12. Luke Mahone in 13th. Quincy Strawhacker, he had some trouble tonight. He finishes 14th. Shockey Tarpley came home in 15th. Justin Rott, after being towards the front late in this race, comes home 16th. Declan George in 17th. Andretti Robinson, he had his share of issues tonight as well in 18th. Connor Zola 19th. Wyatt Roberts rounded out the top 20.
21st will go to Ollie Reeves in the number 31 machine. He'll be ahead of Gabe Cazzola, who finishes in the 22nd spot. 23rd will go to Donovan David, and 24th will go to the 30 of Larry Miles. Connor Trafari will end up in 25th after a troublesome night. Alexander Schumacher will finish down in 26th. Ethan Fonseca Moreno finishes 27th after what was a good run early on for the driver of the 92. Michael Walls returns to series action but finishes in 28th. Amir Bascombe will finish in the 29th spot. Ryan Jones rounds out the top 30. And your final couple of cars on the field here tonight, James Bomar, who had a disappointing end to his strong night. Juan Escamilla, who finishes 32nd. Fidel Fabian, Duncan Fall, Seth Hood, and Devin Frank round out our 36-car field here from the track Too Tough to Tame by the time it was all said and done. Well, Nate, I don't know about you, but I think it's that time to where now we start hearing about what the drivers had to say about all that action on the final lap of the race. So let's go to none other than our race winner here from the Darlington Raceway. Let's get the chance to talk to Mr. James Thurston, who gets a win here at Darlington. And James, congratulations. That was a hard fought win. You took the strategy call of staying out there on the older tires to protect the track position, and it worked out beautifully for you there. Talk us through what it was like on that late battle.
Man, it was a lot. Lots and lots of restarts, lots and lots of just trying to get everything perfect. Um, you know, I just kind of knew that I just needed to keep the lead because it was extremely hard to pass when you didn't have it. Even if you had better tires, you just couldn't really get by the leader if they had good stuff at all. So, I just kept, choosing top because the top seemed like the best lane on the restarts. So I just kept choosing that every time, and then they just kept wrecking and wrecking and wrecking, and we kept having more and more restarts. And I knew eventually, like, the inside would get going one of those times, or the guy behind me would get going good enough to actually challenge. And it happened a couple times, but I was able to fend him off. Then on the final restart there, um, they were all playing a bunch of games. I was trying to wait till we got later in the zone so that I could kind of like outflank them. But the 51 got pushed. He let up because he knew he was going to be way ahead of me if he kept going. But the 00 was just playing some crazy games. He was like half a car length back going into the zone, and then he like slammed into my bumper. But yeah, off of turn 2 there, got woed up in the 52, blew on by me, and yeah, I just got back to his right rear and got back alongside him and somehow held back onto the lead. So yeah, man, I'm super happy to win this race for Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsports. This is what we came out here to do, is just win races.
Win races, and indeed, you start the playoffs off right with a win. Obviously, you're not part of the playoffs here, James, but what is it like to be in the perspective of a driver not in the playoffs but still racing out here for wins? I know that there's the tight line that everybody always talks about of racing the playoff drivers versus being aggressive for your own sake. In that situation late in the race, when you know that you're surrounded by playoff drivers, what is going through your mind apart from trying to win the race? Are you thinking about hopefully not trying to completely mess up their race, or is that not crossing your mind at any point?
Um, I mean, I don't really care, to be honest. Even when I'm in the playoffs and whatever leagues I run, I don't care about that. Obviously, I don't want to mess up anybody's race, but that goes whether or not they're in the playoffs or not. I just don't like to wreck other people and ruin their races for no reason. That's just kind of not my thing. But yeah, I just go out here and try to win, whether I'm in the playoffs, not in the playoffs. I think really I'm not really even racing for much in points in this league anyway, so I just don't really care about the small stuff like laps, lead poles, um, fastest laps, that sort of thing. So it kind of makes it easier to focus on just going out and winning. I feel like so. I mean, yeah, I think that was pretty much on display tonight, and yeah, I just playoffs or not. high up in points or not. I mean, we might be high up in the points, higher up in the points towards the end of this if I keep racing all the races. But yeah, man. Sorry if I sound a little bit weird. I got a retainer in. Don't usually have that, but yeah, dude. Just going out here and leading laps, being up front, and hopefully spoiling out these playoffs for all these guys.
No worries about that, James. I've had my fair share of experiences with the braces back when I had braces, the retainers that kind of quit them after a few years. So no worries. I perfectly understand. But before we let you go here from tonight's race win, anybody want to give a shout out to that helps makes this happen for you and everybody on your 82 team?
Yeah, man. Just again, thanks to Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsports, 623 Speedworks. Just man, super good tonight. Hopefully, we can continue this sort of speed throughout the rest of the season.
And congratulations on the race win once again, and we hope to see you out here in the remaining races of these playoffs. Good, congratulations.
Thank you.
James Thurston, the winner here from Darlington, is going to celebrate for a while here as it's a hard-earned win here, Nate, where now we get to move on back a additional spot and talk to the runner-up, and this was probably a decent runner-up. It's been one of his better results all season long, so it might not be a huge disappointment for him. You're caught up with him, Nate Polite, with Steven Maggio.
Steven, congrats on a top 2 finish tonight, and take me through overtime right there, and really, I guess all of those restarts, but specifically that last one, the battle you had with not just James Thurston but Austin Duran as well. What's that like in the cockpit, especially side by side into turn 1?
Yeah, it gave me a slight chance, but the outside's still really strong here, and I knew that. And I had messed up on a prior restart when Justin cleared me. I was pushing real hard, and I hit the wall, and I gave myself some front end damage, and or I gave myself wheel damage, and that made me super tight. And I really, that's really my only regret for the whole race, because if I hadn't done that, I go on the next restart, I go into turn 1 side by side with James, and if I have a clean car, maybe I could have done something different, but still managed to end up P2 anyway, because I guess Austin got loose off of 4, and I'll take that, because I mean, right from lap 1, I almost got wrecked, so it was a comeback. We came from like 23rd or something after that spin, and so I think I finished the race on 80 lap old left sides because I took 2 tires after every stop after the first one. I took 2 tires, so I'll take second, even though I hate saying that.
Well, speaking of taking second, you come into this race, you were 75 points back of the leader, Ethan Fonseca Moreno. Looking at it as the league owner is currently actively updating the points, you're now 33 points back. You didn't jump any spots, but you gained 42 points on the championship. What does that do for your confidence in chasing this back-to-back title?
Yeah, that's huge, because this was a track where I really was not very confident that I was going to be able to gain on Ethan. He's really good here, and I wasn't going to. We were battling on those restarts, and I was saying to myself, even just between who gets second or third here, this is going to be pretty big points difference. And then he got air packed and got loose, so that was huge for me. And yeah, we're back in it. We started last chase with 3 seconds in a row, and starting this chase with another second. So we'll see what we can do for the rest of the chase.
And a little bit of a lighter question here to end up. Is the fabulous Hudson Hornet throwback, fabulous race car, of course. Your numbers is 51 in just about every league. What's the meaning of that car to you?
I don't know. I mean, I just when I was new, I was the first league I did. They were already halfway through the season, and there wasn't a lot of numbers to pick from, so I just picked the 51. And then the second league I joined, I was like, yeah, I might as well have the same number in these 2 leagues. And then it just really grew on me, and I love the way it looks, especially on the next gen. And I really like that no one currently runs it, so it's kind of like my own number for now, at least until maybe someone goes back. I mean, I know Cody Ware runs it, but like no one runs this font style. So I really like that, and yeah, I've just stuck with it. So when I realized that the Hudson Hornet was 51, I was like, yeah, I gotta do that. It's awesome.
Well, is there anyone that you'd like to shout out before we let you go here?
Yeah, just shout out Thurston. He had a good win. I was leading, and he was on 4 tires, and I got so loose. I hadn't really led all day, and when he got behind me, I just got super loose, and he was able to get by. But that sucked. But yeah, he ran a good race. He ran a clean race. He had to hold off everyone on a bunch of restarts, which I know has to be frustrating for him. So shout out him on the good win. And a lot of my teammates took 2 tires and were up with me at the end. Justin, Micah, Jurg, and hopefully we can just keep this momentum going. And of course, thank you guys for streaming, and Cody for running the league.
Congrats again, Steven, on a second place finish and a nice big jump in the Eliminator chase standings.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Steven Madger, driver the number 51, doesn't like taking second, but tonight's one of those instances where he doesn't mind the runner-up finish, considering just exactly how his first lap went. Another driver who'll take the result after how the middle portion of his race went is Nicholas Baumann, who had a U-shaped race where you had a really good opening run. The middle portion of the race kind of went away, but they came back to you at the end. And Nicholas, this is one of the better results you've had on this network since we've been broadcasting, ever since you've been in these series that we've covered. Talk us through what the overall race prospect was like for you, and then just the overall situation at the end, trying to play the strategy game.
Oh man, I don't know. Just trying to survive for the most part. Thought I had a good car at the start of the race. Was able to keep up with James on a long run. Made a mistake on pit road, slipped through my box, and kind of got caught up in a whole bunch of shenanigans for the most part. Then stayed out on the old tires and just kind of survived on those last couple restarts.
You survived those last couple of restarts, Nick, and it resulted in a top 3 finish for you. And you might not be part of these playoffs, Nicholas, but runs like these at a track like Darlington are super helpful. I'm sure for you, just as a general experience, but also your confidence. So, what's it like to carry this forward into the next handful of races, not just in SAAC competition, but in other series as well?
It means a lot. Be able to do this at a track like this. It's a hard racetrack to drive. It just shows that I am not a complete moron driving this race car. Hopefully it gets some momentum, carries into the rest of the races I run here in SAC, and hopefully turns my luck around in 4-wide for a change.
Well, we wish you the best of luck with that. But before we let you go, Nicholas, anybody you want to give a shout out to that helps make this happen for you and your 81 team?
Just all my teammates at KBueno Racing. You guys, you and Kenneth for running the team. You guys for putting on the broadcast. My teammates, Ethan, Juan, Trevor, all of them. They help me a lot. Get the grips with this car. And yeah, I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them.
Appreciate the time you take with us, Nicholas. Congratulations on your top 3 effort here from tonight at Darlington, and we hope to see you out there very soon in the KBueno Truck Series on Monday and/or 4-wide from Indy.
Yep. Hope to see you guys then.
That's Nicholas Baumann, third place finisher from tonight, Nicholas, or tonight, Nate. And what a run it was for a lot of these drivers that were able to salvage some of these good finishes. It was up and down nights, comers and goers all over the place with the attrition-filled racing. But ultimately, in the end, it was James Thurston taking away the race win, a deserved race win at that, with hanging on through multiple upon multiple restarts and different overtime attempts, and ultimately, it won.
Yeah, it's so tough to defend all of those attempts at restarts there, and it's disheartening when you have the spot and you've got the clean air and they're side by side behind you, and you know that, like, okay, if it runs green, I can win this race, and then a caution comes out, and then it happens again, and then again after that, and then I can't imagine the stress that was in that car on that final restart when he was really challenged for the lead for the first time in that entire run of restarts, and the absolute poise that it takes to maintain composure and end up coming away with a checkered flag.
Comes away with the checkered flag, does James Thurston, and he's going to relinquish this one up until we get to the next handful of races, which will start next Thursday with continuing with the first round of the playoffs. We'll have the second race from New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and then the final race of this first round at Road America. So for honestly speaking, for a lot of these drivers, this probably will be their 75% race if that serves correct. From my understanding, they'll have plenty of opportunities to recover at New Hampshire, Road America, and even some of the future playoff races at that. So they'll try to take advantage of these next two and try to build on some better performances like the likes of Ethan Fonseca Moreno and Gabriel Tahari, among others, of course, as we move forward. But Nate, before we sign off here for tonight, any last thoughts you have on what we saw here tonight in Darlington and what we could see going forward at New Hampshire and Road America?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first race of the chase, so it kind of sets the gambit for everything else, just a quick flash look at what the Eliminator Chase cut line looks like. Larry Miles, Michael Walls, Amir Bascombe, Trevor Haley are all beneath the cut line. But the furthest back is Trevor Haley, minus 50. Everybody else is inside of 15 points behind, so they still have the opportunity to get up there. There is the drop, the 75% cutoff, and you got to imagine for a guy like Connor Trafari, he only scored 40 points tonight. This probably is going to be the race that gets dropped. But on the flip side of that, Stephen Maggio's 90 points. I'm assuming that he's going to be able to get through round one pretty safely. He's 84 good on the cut line right now. Once we get to round two, when you start to double the highest, your most points gained, that 90 points is going to turn into 180 really fast, unless he goes and wins, of course, and puts together a performance that gets him more than 90 points. But this is a huge, huge race for Stephen Maggio in his hunt for a back-to-back title.
Huge performance for Stephen Maggio to make up for what has not been an ideal regular season for him, but he is starting off the playoffs on the right note with a top 3 effort. So happy that you're able to join us here tonight from the Darlington Raceway. On behalf of everybody on the KBueno Racing Network that is a part of these streams and a part of everything that makes this happen, a thank you to everybody on the SAAC Cup Series, from Cody Riveras and everybody that's an admin in the series, for putting on these shows, for doing everything they can to make our Thursday nights possible. Thank you to Kenneth Bueno, who unfortunately was not here with us tonight, had some other things he had to take care of here tonight, but luckily I was able to step in and provide you, the guys, with the production and the services, alongside of Nate Polite, who's always here in the booth, as we're having a good time here with these truck series on Monday nights, but we're able to bring you some Thursday night action from SAAC. So thank you to everybody that also is a part of the KBueno Racing Network that isn't here tonight necessarily. Those include Charlie Byer, Keelan Belsha, and Eli Comerford. So on behalf of all of those names mentioned, I'd like to say so long and have a good night here from the Darlington Raceway. We hope to see you out on Monday night from the Knoxville Raceway for some Truck Series dirt racing. And of course, be sure to catch the 4Wide Racing TJ's Team Series from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway next Wednesday night, before we get to the next SAAC Cup Series playoff race, which will be from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So once again, I'd like to congratulate James Thurston on the win here from Darlington. He'll try to go for back-to-back next time out. But from us, it is so long and have a good night. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you soon.